Welcome to another episode of The Truth About the Plant, the show that takes you on a journey through the world of psychoactive plants and alternative wellness, all while delivering the real, actionable insights you crave. I'm your host, Christina Dees. This is my beautiful co-host, Dr. Amanda Ryman. Dr. Ryman, you get to tell them why we're here.
Well, we're here because when you try to find information on the internet about cannabis or marijuana, you're going to be hit with all kinds of answers. And many times those answers just contradict each other. So we wanted to provide a platform for easy, actionable insights that you can incorporate into your life to have a healthier, better relationship with the cannabis plant and to learn a little bit about how to keep yourself and your loved ones safe.
This is an exciting episode. And I have to say, hello, fellow parents and brave navigators of parenthood. Today's episode is all about a topic that's high on the list of parental dilemmas. How do you have the talk about marijuana with your teenager? Well, it's a journey through hazy myths, clear-cut facts, and the uncharted territories of communication. So grab a comfy chair, your preferred cup of courage, be it an herbal tea or a strong brew, and let's embark on an adventure of discussing marijuana with your teen. All right, Dr. Ryman, how do I talk to my teen about marijuana? And this question actually comes at a convenient time because just before we recorded this episode, my 14-year-old asked me about my earrings that I'm wearing, actually, and didn't know what they were. And he wants to have a conversation about marijuana.
Well, first, I'll say that's great that he wants to have a conversation. This is a conversation that parents should be having with their teenagers. I'll start off by saying the just say no message, it does not work. I grew up in the DARE generation. There's been a lot of research done on the impact of that messaging, and it just doesn't work. Kids see adults using cannabis. They see adults drinking alcohol. They see adults having sex. And so the idea of telling them just don't do it without giving them information about how to keep themselves safe if they do decide to do it is really doing a disservice to them. They should be armed with the tools and the information to make good choices. So really a better message beyond just say no is just say wait, right? We understand that there are some behaviors that are better, safer if you're older. There's a reason we don't give 12-year-olds driver's licenses. There's a reason why we wait until people are 18 to vote and go into the armed forces and 21 to drink. It's because we understand that there are risks that we want people who are old enough to make these decisions. The just say wait message also says, look, you may do this at some point in your life. And I'm not telling you that this should be off the table forever. What I'm saying is that the longer you wait to engage in this behavior, the safer it is likely going to be for you.
So what should a parent do if they find out their teen is using marijuana? So we'd like to have these conversations before if we can, but say I'm a parent and I just found out. What would you suggest?
Well, don't panic. I know that the inkling might be to lock them in their room until they're in their 20s or to take away everything that they hold dear as punishment so that they'll never do it again. Neither of these techniques work. So as hard as it is to do this, it's important that we take a step back, take a breath, and recognize that, especially for young people, all use is not abuse. And what we see a lot in the teenage years is experimentation. They like to try things. They like to test boundaries. They like to dabble in adult behaviors. This is completely normal. Developmentally, this is completely normal. So if you find out that your teen is using cannabis, one good question to ask is, how are they otherwise, right? So if your teen, you find out, maybe you find a baggie of weed in their room or you smell it on them when they come home from a party, ask yourself, do we have a good relationship? Are they doing well in school? Do they seem to have good interpersonal relationships with their peers? Are they involved in activities that they enjoy? And if the answer to all of these things is yes, then guess what? You have a really well-adjusted, happy child, and that's a good thing. So the cannabis use isn't necessarily indicative of a huge life problem. And in fact, if you take them away from their friends, prevent them from participating in sports, ground them in their room, take away their electronics as a result of finding out they're using cannabis, you could actually exacerbate the problem. Now, If your child is having other issues, right? So if you find out they're using cannabis and their grades have been slipping and they haven't been hanging out with their friends and they haven't been participating in the things that they usually love, then there may be an issue. But that issue is likely not the cannabis use. The cannabis use is likely a symptom of something else that's happening. And this could be a mental health issue, a physical health issue, a social issue, a learning disability issue. And so a lot of times the focus goes directly to the cannabis use, when in reality, the cannabis use isn't a problem, but it is a symptom of something else that's going on in their life, and they're using cannabis to self-medicate or to make themselves feel better because of this other thing that they're dealing with.
Yeah. So if it becomes a problem, what then?
Well, it can become a problem. So I'm not here to say that all teen use is just experimentation or that all teen use is a symptom. If you find that your teen is using cannabis chronically, meaning before school, after school, in place of social interactions, in place of activities that they used to enjoy, then I would talk to them about your concerns. And there are treatment centers out there for teens. I have to say, I warn against going that route immediately because, again, sometimes those things can exacerbate the problem. But having that conversation of concern, we talk about support, don't punish. And what this means is that we want our teen to know that we're on their side, that even if they're doing something we don't approve of, we're in their corner, we're on their team, and we're here to support them through it and not to punish them because of it. And so having that open, honest conversation that, I'm concerned about you. You seem to be using this substance a lot. I know that this substance is used to make you feel better. Let's talk about what you're trying to feel better from. What is it that's happening in your life where you're like, I need this escape. I need this way to feel better. And, sometimes because we do not do a good job of talking to teens about substance use in schools, they may get to a place that they didn't expect to get to with cannabis. So we've talked about vape pens before in these videos. Vape pens are kind of like a thorn in the side of parents because they're very easy to hide. Teens can use them in their room without parents knowing. And the cannabis oil that's in a vape pen is very high in THC. So it's possible that what starts out as experimentation ends up being some form of dependence without the teen even realizing what's happening. So again, having that conversation about concern and support, but not judgment and punishment, is a way to have them open up.
Yeah, I love that. And, I just want to iterate, these are hard conversations to have, especially with your teenager. So my question is, should parents disclose their own cannabis use? What's your thought on that?
I think this is really up to each individual person. Some parents are comfortable with their kids seeing them drink and swear and smoke pot and, kind of do these things that we don't want them to do, but we're doing them. And some parents do not feel comfortable with that. So I would say that really is driven by your own comfort level. But it's good to think of it like alcohol. If your teen sees you have a glass of wine at dinner and they're 16, they know they're not old enough to drink wine. They know that the age of consumption for alcohol is 21. So just like wine, smoking a joint or having an edible, especially if you're in a legal state, you as a parent are not doing anything wrong. I want to stress that. You're not doing anything wrong. And so do not feel like you have to hide it from your teen, just like you might not hide your alcohol use from your teen. But having it and then also letting them know that the best choice for them is to wait until they're old enough to handle it. And it's not necessarily that, it's going to lower your IQ and the developing brain and, some of these scare things we hear from the media. It's really about being able to make the best decision for yourself. And the reality is that when you're a teenager, a lot of times you're not driven by the long-term picture. You're driven by your environment and what's happening around you in the moment. And it can be really tough to think about what are the long-term consequences of my behavior. And that's one reason why we don't suggest that teens use cannabis. But as a parent, the message of there are some things that are appropriate for me to do as an adult that are not appropriate for you to do as a teenager follows through to behaviors beyond cannabis. And, one of the things I like to say is there's a lot of things out there that get better with age. The longer you wait, the better it will be. Drinking is one of those things. Cannabis is one of those things, and sexual activity is one of those things. When you're old enough to really understand what's happening and talk about what you want and understand what you like, it's going to be a better, safer experience.
That's why we're the cool aunties. I love how you just explained that having that conversation with your teen. For me, I don't want to be dishonest, and I don't ever want to lie to my kids. So if they ask me a question, I'm going to be forthcoming because I want to model the behavior that I want from them, and I'd always want them to be honest with me. So I love your examples of observing their behavior, checking in with your teen, whether they are using or not. It's always a good thing to just keep an eye on them, especially during these years. And the point about the vape pens that are discreet, and so they could be using it and you not even knowing it. So observing their behavior again is like really important.
Absolutely. And, as parents, when your teen is doing well, right? You know what that authentic, happy self looks like. And if you start to see that fade, talk to them about it. Even if cannabis isn't involved at all, if you notice a difference, and, these days it can be really easy for young people to mask how they're feeling because they are remote for a lot of things. They're in front of technology a lot. So it's just important to check in and not be afraid to reach out and say, hey, you've seen a little off lately. But remember, no judgment, no punishment, nothing but support.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, as we wrap up today's plant powered journey, you, our viewers, remember to hop over to our YouTube channel for an extra sprinkle of herbal wisdom. It's like a garden of knowledge that keeps on growing, and you never know what you're going to find there. You are amazing viewers. You're the roots that keep our plant wisdom thriving. So if you've got questions sprouting up or you just want to shoot the breeze, don't hold back. You can reach out to us at info@mypersonalplants.com. We're always eager to chat about all things green and enlightening. Until we meet again, stay curious, stay green, and keep those questions coming.